which is kind of sad. But there's hope on the horizon for it. There's a lot of options, a lot of opportunities. If you know my penchant for options, options are my favorite thing, and I like having more of them. And so right now we only have a couple of wind vane cover styles, but my plan is to have at least two more, something in the knurled shapes, so diamond knurled or straight knurled, something along those lines. I'm really excited about that piece. The second item that I have on my list of things is to talk about the infinite adapter. I want to really discuss the infinite adapter and show you guys what that looks like, because it's already currently in production and currently waiting on to arrive. It should be finishing production here in probably the next, I want to say, 10 days, 5 to 10 days. So very, very excited about that to come. And I feel like it hasn't gotten enough street viewership from all the people to understand really what it's about. And so I'm gonna move over here when we start talking about it, and I'm gonna put together a Saber build so that you can see exactly what it's capable of doing for you, and we can discuss what another version of it looks like. I realized after I built it in a male version that it's probably worthwhile to have a female version, and it's probably worthwhile to have a male female version of it too, or one that intersects with each other. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It could be a good thing either way. I think the best case scenario would be one that plays well with one another. And so if you wanted a male male version, and a female version, that the male and female sides could come together to make a whole new adapter. So that's another angle that I want to work on and make sure that that's developed and together before I start working forward. Curves. I get a lot of information, getting a lot of questions about curves. Everybody's been asking me about the curves since they saw the prototypes. I'll show them to you over here when we start talking, and have a little discussion about those and what I liked and what I didn't like, and why I'm looking for something else. It mostly has to do with price, because it is a very complex piece. It requires all 5 axes of a machine to machine those. And so the machine time comes at a premium, which ends up costing us a lot of money. So I'm looking at a lot of different options, a lot of different ideas. But we'll discuss it. We'll show it tomorrow over here on this side, and we'll explore what options those are. So make sure I'm writing this stuff down. I'm kind of going off the cuff and not quite fully prepared for this brief for this discussion. So we got infinite adapter, we've got curves, and then if you were paying attention in the Discord, and I guess now's as good a time as any to hit the Discord. If you're joining us for the cast and you don't normally communicate with us, or haven't communicated with us in the past, the Discord is the best place to get a hold of me and best place to discuss things. I'm always in the Discord. I'm always poking around. I might be quiet of late, but normally in the fall time it picks up when I have a lot more opportunity to do things. There's no way that this has been live for only 3 minutes. Something is going on right now with my CPU. It says I've got 5 minutes worth of live time, and YouTube's only showing me 3. Anyways, if you haven't joined the Discord, come out, check out the Discord. And if you're joining us in the cast, let me throw a invite into the chat here really quick, and you can come and pick us up and enjoy a opportunity to discuss and chat. It's in the chat. It's over here, that side. I don't know what side it is. It's one of the sides. That side. I don't know. It's something. So beyond that, the other set of parts that I've got, and this sounds like a lot of things. It is a lot of things. I've been kind of like juggling plates, or like, juggling knives. I don't know what it is. But basically, I've been at my wit's end trying to keep all of this stuff in order. And I promised myself that I would never ever do this again. But I got like 5 or 6 parts ordered in relatively small batches that will allow me to sustain operations while things get busy over the summertime. And so the thought process is I can kind of meter these parts out over time and keep people satisfied with the like 1 part release a month thing. So June was the month of the thin neck release. This next month is probably going to be the infinite adapter release, and beyond that will be other adapters as well. I might sprinkle them in between or something like that. I realize that I'm also behind on creating additional oh my gosh, my brain stopped working. Component schema kits, so CSKs. the schema kits. I'm behind on that. I've got 2 people that still need to be served their schema kit contribution. So I apologize for that. Again, it's been crazy. That and my workload at my day job has increased like twofold over what I had previously. So I'm not as with it in the evenings as I would like to be. So I guess that's the dangers of trying to do a side gig that's also one of the coolest gigs that you have. So whatever, it's a thing. Anyways, curves and adapters. There we go. Got all the things we want to talk about. I got them written down on the paper. It's time for us to go over here. And wipe. Yeah, there it is. Wiping. Nope, that's not the one. Yeah, that's the one. All right. So let me pull my microphone over here so you guys can listen to me talk. I think I got a mark on my board here. I need to put a mark on this board. I'm going to put a purple dot on my board that's the exact middle, right? Is that the middle? That looks like the middle to me. Boop. Got a little purple dot there so I can see it and know where I'm working. And so I want to introduce to you guys on the cast tonight the infinite adapter. Nobody has seen this like in the flesh as an actual component. And so I want to make sure I show you guys here really quick. And I also need to set something up so that we have the ability to demo this relatively quickly and show you exactly what it's about. So let me just put together a quick emitter that I can offset. It doesn't really work very well with offs or with a round like concentric emitters, like anything using the flanges, because you know there's no like left or right side unless you put something on there that has like a left or right or north, south, east, west side kind of thing. So I'm just going to put together a really quick emitter here that will interact with what we have on the table. And I need to grab one more. Grab one more thing here. You know what? I did that wrong. Oh, the dangers of doing this live. I should have had this set up beforehand so that we didn't have this, but let me adjust that really fast. All right, there we go. Got that set up. Run that in. It will be fine. We don't actually need it to connect. Let's do this. I grabbed the wrong emitter. It's been so long since I've actually played with and built my own parts. Almost everything was scattered out about 10 minutes prior to the opening of the cast. And so this whole area was just covered with parts as I was playing around and doing customer builds. And it's taken me a long time to get it cleaned back up. So let's go ahead and show this off really quick. So this is a lower portion, a switch segment that I kind of put together. It's got a couple of pieces in it. There's an adapter, a couple of different adapters in here. So I'll show you what those adapters also look like too. But the important element is this. This is the infinite adapter. And for those of you that haven't seen it, I think we're in for something that's going to be really, really cool. And here's why. Your infinite adapter is made up of 3 pieces. It's made up of a lower portion, which I call the base, which is smart, right? And a center portion, which is the collar, and an upper portion, which is the swivel. And essentially what you have to do is build the adapter such that the collar fits over the swivel. It's not normally this difficult. I have gloves on. Of course, it's going to be a pain. So the collar fits over the swivel, and the swivel fits on top of a top hat. There's a ridged section over here on top where you can see where that fits right on top of. And the collar anchors down over top of this. And so what this allows you to do is put a component on the top, like I'm going to show you right now. Okay. Put this component here on the top. Actually need to loosen that up just a little bit. Okay. It's a little bit fiddly, and I made it so that it's a little bit easier. I added a couple of design elements to this to make it a little bit simpler when you start putting it into practice. But we're going to connect these 2 pieces together, and we're going to put it on this lower base portion. you can separate this almost fully, but essentially this collar ends up staying trapped to this upper layer here once you get it into position. And so, oh no, my emitter is sideways to my switch and I want that to be aligned. So how do I fix that? Well, it just so happens that this collar, when it's loose, allows you to pivot around the top here. Pivot your emitter section around in any position that you want to. Hey, John, welcome. I didn't see you step in here. My viewer thing didn't update. But so, anyways, the important piece here to look at is that this free swivels around. And so when this collar is loose, this is allowed to free swivel. And I want to have I like to have the emitter mouth open directly at the switch. I don't know why, maybe I like it that way. And so now I just tighten this collar down a little bit, and you kind of have to reef it just a little bit. It takes some fiddling to get it adjusted sometimes. Oh, I had the upper one loose there. That's why it wasn't fiddling correctly. Okay, now it's gonna fit. Okay. It looks like it's still just a little bit off. Give me that. Will let me not sit there and sand plus. Yeah, so that's the idea behind this kit, is that it will allow you to adjust the upper portion of your lightsaber or emitter if you have an asymmetric type tip, or you have something that's just a little bit different than normal. It will allow you to crack the collar open just a little bit, right? And position it to wherever you want it to be. And then tighten it back down as if it was a normal swivel and some other sort, another like technical, gosh, my brain's not working. Like an air chuck type tool or something along those lines, right? Let me loosen this all the way off. And I'll show you how this works too. It'll also allow you to do servicing on your parts if you need to, without twisting all the stuff off, right? So one of the troubles that I've got with this right now is in this prototype form, it's really difficult to get this torqued on here so that it stays in position. And so what I did is I created on the internal part of this, there's going to be now a screw hole that passes all the way through, so you could use an Allen key to put torque on this when you're anchoring this piece here. And then on the inside of this one, I made two half moon shapes on either side of it, so you could put two Allen keys together and twist them opposites to one another, kind of like this. I have to show you an example to really get you to understand what I'm talking about. It's kind of a trick to do with like two knives, or we used ladies' fingers when I was on active duty, when I was in the military. Here, I can do it with this. Basically, you would take one Allen key and run it across that width like this, and then mirror offset your other Allen key the opposite direction inside of that same space, so they lever against each other. And then using two hands, or one hand rather, you could break torque on that pretty simply. So you can also use it. You could also use it to span across too if you have the right tool. It would span that gap and allow you to twist that off too, depending on what type of torque wrench, not torque wrench, what type of Allen key you had. Let me pull this off of here really quick. I'm going to put another one in here because this MPP is really difficult. It's being kind of troublesome right now. So what I'll do is I'll swap that over really quick onto another component. But you can see this is the swivel. The collar goes on that swivel like this. And because it's kind of goofy right now, I have to use my fingers on the inside diameters of that to hold it in place. But it allows you to connect these two pieces together like this and get that to catch on those threads. Oh, I got the wrong end. I grabbed the wrong end. You get those to catch on the threads, and now you can cinch that down with a finger. And if you want it to be aligned backwards, you can put the switch on the backside just like this. Give it a little twist, right? a little wiggle on the top and a twist, and it's pretty tight. So design-wise, I've got two designs for this collar. There's one that's a knurled, like diamond style, and then this straight knurled that matches the accent ring 1.1. And it is the same diameter as another of the accent rings. Let me just show you this really fast. All the accent rings are the same outer diameter, so it's 36.15 if you're following along. And I wanted to show you that this can work with the accent rings if you wanted them. I've already showed everybody in the Discord this, but here's another example of kind of the cool interoperability of this thing and how it can function with all these other elements, right? Okay, just loosened it up and tightening it back down. Now I have one that is offset 90 degrees and it hits my finger here where I want it to be. Bam, bam, bam. Now I can fire and do all my Saber moves and in a way that's ergonomically correct and comfortable. I may redesign this too. I may like run another design for it that's a little bit smaller, so it uses a smaller diameter, treating it like more of a thin neck, and it would be closer to the diameter of the actual Saber itself, so that you can put them in other positions, like on the southern end of your Saber, where you might not want one of these. I don't know. I'm still kind of exploring the idea, but I really like the concept. So pop that loose, give it a little twist. You can hold this ring too once you get it loose, so the ring doesn't pivot. Because what I found happens is the aluminum, the tolerances are tight enough that if you tighten this far enough, it will also tighten this ring a little bit. And so all you have to do is kind of back this off about half or maybe 2/3 of a thread, and you can hold it in place, and this thing will pivot all the way around here, no matter what spot you want it to go to, right? I got a special case. I want it offset just a little bit. So it's loose. I'm holding it. Now I'm tight. There's no keying in it. So just keep make sure that you're aware there's no keys inside of it. So it can swivel if you're using it hard enough or, something happens. But if you give this enough juice, it will hold. And if you're wielding it up here at the emitter, you probably have pretty good luck with it and not rattling loose if you were dueling. But again, none of my parts are really dual capable parts. They're not really, I don't want to say they're not dual capable, because they are dual capable, but I don't advertise them as being dual capable simply because I just don't have a warranty to cover it. Anyways, that's that. That's the infinite adapter. It's a really cool part. I think it's a lot of fun. It works really, really well on the north end of the Saber, like on the emitter end. Less so maybe on the tail end, where most things tend to be concentric in design. And so really, honestly, it was designed for the north side of the Saber mostly. And it has some cool design elements that align it with that end of the Saber too. So I think that it does look really nice. It's got a pretty cool aesthetic that goes along with quite a few other Sabers out there, and really excited to get this fielded and into you guys' hands. I'm really excited about that. All right, the second thing that we wanted to talk about, so that's the infinite adapter. I'm expecting that probably the end of this month time frame, and so I'm hoping that it will be arriving by the end of June, and I'll get it turned around and ready for a July 1st type shipment date. The next thing to talk about are curves. These are curves that I had 3D printed and milled or machined to accept threads from a company that I found on a 3D printing type website. I can't think of what the heck the name of it was. Craft Cloud, I think it was. So got some curves. I got a new 30-degree curve. I've got a 15-degree curve, or bend, I guess is the right terminology to use. The bend, and another 30-degree. These will be a little ways off, and unfortunately, the big issue that I had with them is that I thought that I really thought the 3D printed idea was clever. And the reason why I thought it was clever is because it actually looked a lot like the Dooku. So like when you look at Count Dooku's Saber, he's got a curve on the front side, a bend in the middle, and a bend at the end. And the bend at the end is the 45 or 55 or something like that. Not 55, maybe a 30-degree bend or something. And it has this kind of like pig metal almost like texture. This is a 3D printed texture. This is done by SLS, so sintered laser soldering, I think is the name of it, or welding. Basically, it has a 3D print mechanism that pokes the nozzle down inside of some sintering type material, and it welds with a laser to create the different layers. And then the threads get cut on a CNC machine. So it was a really cool process. It's got a really cool finish on it, but unfortunately, the cost on it was just too much for me to be able to cover that in 3D print. I thought that it was going to fall in line, but the company that I was working with, they decided to jack prices up on the actual machining of the threads, and so every single one of these would have been like $30 in threading machining costs. And so I went back to my original manufacturer. They have both designs, the 30 and 45. I've got new designs for these too, not just this style. This was kind of a generic one to test the waters. I made one that's a little bit closer, a little bit smaller, a little bit tighter tolerances. This is, I think the one that I've got takes off these. I don't know if you can see it very well. If I turn it just a little bit, you can kind of see this like set of ridging on here. The new one that I designed actually takes this ridging off and moves the threads deeper inside of the curve on the 30, as well as deeper inside of the curve on the 15. So it makes it a much tighter bend package, so that it's easier to get on. It's easier to incorporate in Saber. This one tends to be a little bit longer, and so when I start putting it together with different parts, you can kind of see what that's going to feel like when you start building a curved Saber with it. Let's just throw a couple pieces together. Debuting one of the other adapters that are here. This is one of the new adapters. This is going to end up being called the 6 Bravo. So adapter Type 6 Bravo or Type 6B. It's the 31.5 millimeter diameter variant of that part, and it's going to be available in the next month or so, probably as it comes out. Probably along the same lines with the with the infinite adapter once we get that going along. So just to kind of put these two together on the same part, you can kind of see the threading on that is a little bit janky. It's not the best threading, so I wasn't super happy about how the threading came out on these parts, which kind of what pushed me away from working with this company. But there you go. You can kind of see what that curve would look like in the hand. I like how that looks. I like how that feels. It's got a really nice comfort to it for saber fighting. I have to zoom out on the camera quite a bit to get a good look at it, but there you have that. This is the 30. I should have 2 of them. You might see that there's a second one that's not here. I actually parted ways with that with a good friend of mine, and sent that his direction, and you might see it in a build here soon. And I don't normally do that with prototypes, but he's been one of my strongest supporters overseas, and so I was like, hey, what better way to get that information out that there might be a curve coming soon than to send one across the pond and say, hey guys, take a look at this, just to get that out there on that side, you know. Let me get this thing off of there. Wow, the threads on that were really jacked really bad. Get this thing off of here, and I'll show you what the 40, or excuse me, what the 30 looks like. So that's a 15. It's kind of a more gentle curve, and if you put 2 of those together, it's a little bit, it's pretty nice, I guess. Here's the 30. It's a lot tighter for the curve, and in case you were wondering and you haven't seen the cast before, that design on the inside is a little bit tighter, and it's intended to be tight so that if you use this on an emitter end of your saber, or you need it to be, you need it to support something like a speaker box or the emitter pin PCB, this has got a big enough shelf on it that you would be able to put your pin PCB, not PCB, but the pin puck on top of it, and it could serve as your baseline or as the base for your saber when you're doing when you're doing it or when you're working with it. Let me see if I can get this in here. You see the threads are pretty janky. I'm not really happy with it. Again, it was one of those one-time things. So there's another example of that bend. This is a little bit more aggressive bend. I like this too. This has a really nice feel. This is almost in line with the one that I have built previously. I can't think of which one it was. I called it Lateralis, was the name of it. After the Tool song. I love that saber. It was one of the most fun duelers, and this has the same type of feel to it. It is a really, really fun feel. I like that. Very nice. All right, let's get that thing off of there. We'll take a look at what other ones we got here. All right, those are the bends. I didn't want to talk a long time on them, but I did want to say that I do have a new design set for those, and they are currently waiting on you guys to purchase some parts so that I can fund at least half of it, and then I can work on the rest of the funding. And currently entertaining creative ideas on how to get the funding available, or how to get the funding together for that doesn't involve just selling a bunch of parts like I normally do. Because of the complexity of those bends, the company that I'm working with for my machining, they are telling me they want me to buy twice as many parts because it takes longer and it takes more machine time. So getting 2 times the parts off of that is going to be expensive, and I got to figure out how to fund that. So I've been kicking my options around, and short of just funding it halfway up front or a third of the way up front, and then working my way through the rest of that, given the speed at which the company produces, it kind of leaves me at I don't want to say at a dearth of funds, but at a pickle of funds, I guess we'll say. Just because I don't know if the market is going to stay as strong as it's been with the parts that I'm producing now to sustain being able to get just one of these curves put together, because it's basically going to drain the operating funds for getting parts. So it's essentially, if it doesn't go through, there's not going to be a whole lot more parts for the next year, not for the next year, but for the foreseeable year at this point. But anyways, it's not doom and gloom. It's just another challenge to overcome, and still working on options for that. I did say I wanted to talk about these adapters. We're still talking about the adapters. I need to take just a minute to get a drink of water. Hopefully I'm not too boring to you guys. It's been a long time since I've done one of these, and I'm trying to keep the energy up because I'm freaking tired. It's been a heck of a month. But anyways, just wanted to show you, here is a new round of adapters that are coming in the next month or so. You kind of saw one here, but I'll start pulling them out. There is a single, let's see if I can get these into position. Maybe you guys can see them okay. But this is the introduction of the new round of adapters coming this year, which is I kind of have them out of order, but I think this is let's see here. Yeah, that one. Just a little out of order. From your left, I think that's left or something, my right. From my right to my left, this is the Type 6A, the Type 6B and C. These are 5.5 millimeters tall with 30, 31 and a half, and a 33 millimeter outer diameter. And then this is a Type 7, which is similar to the original Type 2. And I'll bring that Type 2 out here just to give you guys a perspective on that part. You might have to like squint at it just a little bit. I'll bring them up to the camera to show you what the shapes look like. But these are stepped adapters. This group is I call them the stepped adapters. But basically they're a set of adapters that are basically just multiple steps on them that give variations in outer diameter, so it shows a little bit of interest in between parts. I've always been about that in between parts life. And so there's the Type 7 and Type 8. The Type 8 is basically just a longer version of the Type 7, but it is its own unique design. And so if there's a variation on it where I put something like knurling or some other surface design on it, it'll be just a little bit different. So these are really, really basic looks. You can kind of see, if I can get the glare to die off just a little bit. It's really tough
to do this correctly so that you can see them. The 30 millimeter outer diameter is pretty substantial when you start factoring these. Whoops. When you start putting these together with the other parts, I'll get you a look at it really quick, how it would look on here with that together, just like that. To me, this 30 millimeter looks a lot like a Luke. You know, if you combine it, this part right here actually feels like a Luke. If I get the other component, I got another component that's a lot closer to the Luke size. Oh my gosh, I'm just throwing things everywhere. All right, this is a little bit closer to that. Let's get this together. Okay, so if you're looking at a Luke bottom end for your lightsaber, this might be the one. Let me get something that looks kind of close to a Luke. You can kind of get close to the idea with VHC, at least until I make a Luke pommel, which very well could be coming at the end of this year. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But this kind of gives you like a Luke vibe. I took pictures of one of them today that I saw a creepy uncle floating around, and I was like, hey, my parts kind of fit that same size. I can make that almost work, and that would be like the bottom end of a Luke. You'd have your control box up here, and then or a control box up here, and then the grenade part up on this top end, and thin neck, blah, 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 all that stuff. The 30 millimeter is pretty deep, and so if you want something that's a little bit more subtle, you can go after the 31.5, and that goes in here like this, and you can see, oh my goodness, if I can get that thread to start, stop being a noob. You can kind of see that it's a little bit less aggressive in depth on there. And so you get a little bit of visual interest on that, but not so much depth that it detracts from the look of it. And then the last one is the 33 millimeter. I anticipate what people are going to use the 33 for is probably starting to combine it with things like accent rings. And so let me pull out a couple of accent rings and an accent band, and I'll show you what's cool about these, right? It's because it's 5.5 millimeters, the accent bands have a 2.25 millimeter depth. So if you add two accent ring, the short side of the accent rings together, it comes out to 4.5, right? Which means a 5.5 millimeter ring will leave 1 millimeter of gap in between them. You can kind of see what that gap looks like here. See if I can get it to focus on that. On my hands, there we go. So you can see that gap in between there. And so all of my accent rings and accent bands have that 2.5 millimeter depth on the top, or excuse me, on one side of it. And this is kind of one of the system features that I have to make sure that I have an offset look for these parts. And so any accent ring, any setup, just like that. Here's one of my newer accent rings, the CoverTech. I love this accent ring. It's so much fun. But you can put two of those together to make a accent ring pack almost. And then you can put something like this together to create more of a chunkier element on one end of your saber or the other. And that could be right in the middle, like I've got it here. And I believe this length is just long enough that I could fit another one on here. I am wrong. You can fit another one on here, but you have to put a adapter on this end. So you could put a 5 millimeter adapter on it. You could put a 2.25 millimeter adapter on it. I'm going to do that right here and just show you that this is possible to get a fit kind of like that, like a big chunky like not grenade, but like a coupler or some sort of thing. I don't know, a collimator, whatever the fancy space wizardry term is for a large thing in the middle of your lightsaber, the technobabble stuff that Star Wars comes up with, whatever. You can do that, right? This in this situation, it just required one more 2.25 adapter, and it fit almost perfectly with no gap in between, or minimal gap in between. Maybe that works with this guy. Whoa, watch your ears. Maybe that works with this one too. Yep, it does. Okay, so the banded one. So that's kind of telling me that I need to make some plain versions of this as well, so we can build some beef up plates. Not beef up plates, but beef up sleeves across the range of parts. You know, so a beef up sleeve that is the length of the Type 2, a beef up sleeve that's the length of the Type 3, so that we can have some larger beefed up sections of our saber. But yeah, that's the 33 millimeter version. I imagine that people are going to cover the 33 millimeter version with stuff. But again, with all of the parts that I've got, you can use the 30 with these and make like an interesting like gap between a pommel or something like this. Let me show you really fast. I got a pommel right here. You put a pommel on there, get an interesting gap on that bottom end. Kind of seen this in several different instances of different sabers. Different looks, different ideas, different concepts. That's all. Future state for these adapters, there's going to be a 7.5 and probably a 10 millimeter one as well. So we'll have those coming in the future, and I usually save those for like periods where ideas are kind of slow and I don't have really anything that's unique coming, but I need something to fill that space. And so I can get these made relatively quickly and produced and get them in hand so that people can use them for their builds. I really like this. I think these are cool, and I think that this 30 millimeter is going to be really cool when you start building on something like something like a flange. When we get longer versions of this, you're going to have 7 or 10 millimeters worth of that body section that will be recessed pretty significantly off of that flange. It won't be like a thin neck necessarily, but it will be thinner than the rest of the stuff, relatively speaking. So really excited to get those larger versions out. I produce these kind of in packs of 50 just to kind of see test the waters kind of. But that's the basic type 6 that's going to be coming in the next month. And here are the stepped adapters that I want to make sure that I show you too. Whoop, I apologize there. Didn't mean to bump that. You can kind of see the step on that adapter. If you look over here on the edge where my thumb is at, you can kind of see the step on that. This is 5.5 millimeters, just like this is. I can compare these two together. And you might say, Tim, why didn't you make them sisters or like brother adapters? And the step adapters were kind of one that I've been wanting to build because I thought they were really interesting. They go hand in hand with some of these other elements. This was a kind of like the Ki-Adi-Mundi version. You can see some of that here. They kind of go hand in hand with those different variants, but I just want to slide this in here and show you what that's going to look like when you start putting these pieces together. And it almost feels like a clan component. Like if you were building a clan saber and you needed some interest in between elements, you kind of have this stepped place in between now where you can see. It's kind of actually hard to see there, huh? The black gloves are killing me. I need to get something like purple. Shoot. But you can see the stepped element. There we go. Got a good look at it. The outer diameter is like 32. The bigger outer diameter is 32. The smaller outer diameter is like 31.5 or 31. And it just gives like a visual look, right? A visual element of interest between the relatively plain body sections of your saber. And this is the Type 8, or what's going to become the Type 8. And you'll notice it looks a lot like this because it was kind of based on that design, but they don't share the same height on the smaller or on the larger set of rings for it. Let me see if I can get this pivoted. Just pivot. There it goes. So you can see the difference between it. This one's basically just a longer version of this here. But it gives a nice distance on it. I don't have a measure on how tall that is really fast. Let me see. It looks like a 7.25. Yeah, about 7.25 tall. Give or take, like plus or minus 2.2, 0.02. Yeah, millimeters for variation for tolerances. And we'll put this together and show you what that looks like too. There that is, right there. Will there be any activation button parts in the future? Well, that's kind of an interesting comment, and I made like mention of it inside of, let's see here. King's Cry. It's gonna be so nice to have things to break up straight profiles. Yeah, dude. I'm really excited about all these adapters. I love adapters. I love using them to make really like interesting designs in combinations. And to be honest with you, these plain components are they're the baseline for other versions. There's going to be straight knurled versions. There might be some diamond knurled patterns, a bunch of different body elements that are going to go together. Things with like not vertical milling necessary, or not, excuse me, not vertical knurling, but uh, oval blocks or lines kind of milled into this to make it look a little bit more Star Warsy or something along those lines. But these were the beginning. These aren't the end state, right? We don't have these necessarily in available throughout all of VHC. And so this is filling that void right now for a plain version that somebody can etch and do work with. It's not meant to be the end all. It's not meant to be the finisher, right? And then Knight, to answer your question, I'm glad that you bring that up, because buttons and switches are a thing that is on my radar for getting done this year. I have like 12 buttons designed, 12 different button styles designed. And unfortunately, they all use the 12 millimeter, or excuse me, 14 millimeter AV button. And I've had a lot of conversation over the course of the last couple months about what I'm producing and what I want to produce for the future. And one of the things that I really want to do is to move away from the 14 millimeter AV button. And you might say, Tim, that sounds like a really dumb idea. You're shooting down a bunch of people that want to use your parts. And to that, I say, okay, I understand that. But what if I could design something that looked a bit more professional? So like when you look at Sabers and you see an AV switch on a Saber, you know where that Saber came from. You know where its origin is. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but automatically you can almost prejudge a Saber based on that look. And in my history of doing lightsabers, all of the custom builds that I have, when I put up a 12 or 14 millimeter AV button out in the open, people see that and they immediately assume that it's cheap, that it's trash, and that it's not professional, right? Even though we know different, even though we know that the parts and elements of those sabers that are being made are pretty high quality, it's one of those pieces. It's one of those things that all the big name, like it seems like all the big name saber guys out there, if you want any credibility in this, any credibility in the community, you have to move away from that at some point. And so my thought process was, how can I facilitate both of those things and still move myself towards a more craftsman, or more like move away from like journeyman builds that I believe like VHC kind of captures, which is like the introductory to journeyman level builds. And how do I move into more customized, like more customizable with custom chassis, or with something that is maybe a bit more polished in the final iteration, right? And so I've got a bunch of designs kind of sitting and waiting in my like shed that will move me towards what I feel is a more professional design. I don't want to say professional, that's not right. What I feel is a more polished design that's in alignment with what I believe, or where I believe I want my Saber parts to go, which is towards this more craftsman level of build, where somebody could get a custom core if they wanted to, and use something like a button plunger, or something that interacts with one of those micro switches. I'm trying to think of what the switch is. I had it on the tip of my tongue, but basically a tactile switch, like a plunger that interacts with a tactile switch through the body. That's something that I really want to be able to accomplish and say, hey, I did that. I brought that to VHC. And so to my knowledge, there's nobody that's done that just yet in a part that is billed as VHC or VHC compatible. And so it's my intent to do that. And I'm looking at towards the end of this year to bring that along. And that means a couple of new switch styles, female switch style, maybe a male switch style, and ones that use things that are specifically designed to enhance your experience with that saber, like a tactile type interface, as opposed to just using the AV switch pushed through the outside of the body. Right? We can go back and look at historicity inside of the inside of the Saber community, and you're looking at, companies like Ultra Sabers and Saber Trio still does that stuff. They still use those AV switches. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's something that I want to move towards a more polished design. And so I'm going to stop beating that horse. I think that's basically it for that that part of the conversation. I'm going to swing this back over. I'm done over here. There's no more action happening. I'm not building anything else, but I can. And yes, Scry, the parts, the neural parts, like those items that I want to make, they're definitely in the pipeline. But again, this year I had basically at the beginning of the year in like January, I kind of have like a wrap up cast where I frame everything and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. And this is what the plan is. And I'm building these parts this year, and my intent is to release at least one part per year, and those parts are kind of listed at the beginning of the year as things that I want to accomplish. And it just so happens that I had 7 of them this year, and one of them is the infinite adapter. One of them is a new set of switches. I did the Obi-Wan Kenobi wind vane. We got a new set of adapters. Another one that I'm missing yet is the accent sleeves, which were really, really expensive, and the bends, the curves. And so I haven't hit all of my marks this year yet that I want to hit. So it's gonna be flex. I gotta be flexible. That's all there is to it. The market has been really volatile lately, specifically and related to tariffing. And for the early part of the year, the tariffing was really, really rough. It made it kind of difficult to get parts, and it raised prices pretty significantly on materials, like raw materials like aluminum and all the items that you need to make lightsaber parts. Fortunately, I have a really good factory behind me that's been pretty gracious with how they're costing these things for me. And so while I'm not the cheapest, I definitely get a pretty good rate on these raw aluminum parts with which we use to build with which we build our lightsabers. So I am gonna pop over really quickly into another cut and show you the designs for the updates on the infinite adapter. So we're gonna revisit that really quickly. I wanted to kind of pop back and forth, show you everything that I had over here on this side, and then go discuss some stuff. So here's a wipe, and here is the items in question. And so this is the updated infinite adapter, and you can see here on the lower portion, which is the base, there's a shoot through, as you've seen in most of my other parts, and that's to be able to torque it down into position. So because there's 3 points of twist here, it's really easy for movement to loosen those things up. So my recommendation is, when you're installing these items onto your saber, if you're going to use them, is to use those holes to give it a little snug so that it stays put, so that when you tighten and loosen the collars, that the other parts won't swivel. It's just, I don't want to say it's the nature of the beast, but it's kind of the nature of the beast for something like this, right? There's lots of points of interaction on this where you can run into or run afoul of a little bit of looseness on these items, just purely caused by finger tightness. On the highlighted, this is the swivel element, or the top hat, and that piece has 2 half moon cutouts in it. And I explained you basically put your Allen keys crosswise through those on either side of them, depending on which direction you want to turn it, and that will allow you to tighten or loosen that into position. If you use a longer Allen key, it's going to be easier because you can get your whole hand over top of it, right? So the part would be here, get your whole hand over it, and you can torque it one way or the other, depending on what you need to do. And so the 2 variations I added at the last minute, the factory was super gracious in dealing with me because I was being a pain in the ass. But I added this knurled collar. And so this is the first time that we have something that looks like diamond knurling in an accent ring shape. And so one of the things that I would really like to do with this also is to bring along an accent ring that espouses this knurling too. And so at some point in the very near future, there might be an accent ring that shows up that has some diamond knurling in it to go with this, so that we have another look that can go together, and you can make something that's really cohesive and really well put together
when it comes to like themes across all the parts on the Saber. Um, and who knows? There could be other versions of this that mirror. There could be other versions of these parts that mirror our popular ones, like the accent ring 2.1 has been a really popular accent ring for a really long time, and so I might make one of those. The problem is because aluminum is kind of slick, like raw aluminum is a little bit slick. It might be a little bit harder to tighten or loosen those parts, and so I was a little bit nervous about that. Putting slick-sided parts on that you couldn't get purchase on, they may just get relegated to this knurled shape or like some sort of knurling on them, whether it's straight knurling or diamond knurling or something different. I don't know. And that's only purely for functionality, is to make sure that the swivel, the collar is able to be used with some functional purpose and ability for you to continue to use it correctly, right? But that's basically the update for that part, that component. I did want to show you the bends that I had as well. They're in the body segments, I think. Let's see, where did I put them? Nope, it's not there. Wrong parts. Alloy extensions, chokes. There we go. There's a couple of different variations in here of those parts. You can kind of see, like over here on the left side, I got a 15-degree bend. This was the original. I started a design that had like keys, a couple other elements, and I was like, you know what, that's too complex. Let's just go simple and do this thing. And so this is the final bend design for the 15-degree element. You can see already it's pretty substantially different than that original design. It has this really cool finger well inside of it that I believe would fit an individual's finger fairly nicely. It's almost 10 millimeters. It's like 8.5 millimeters for that finger well on this one. And I'll pull out the 30 bend as well and show that what that looks like. These channel that Count Dooku shape on the Saber really, really, really well. I think that it looks good. I have a feeling that it's going to be nice in the hand, and because it's going to be machined, it'll be very precise and accurate to the tolerances that I have been very very particular about over the past couple of years. Same type of principle here. It's got that land inside of there that allows you to put your parts inside of it and make it a nice pass through into for your electronics. Nobody's like, I tried explaining this on one of the casts previously. No one's going to be able to shove electronics through a bend. And so there's no point in really even putting a full diameter inside of it. In fact, I think that it's a better play to do a different diameter inside of it, so you can put a place for your components to rest against, so that they're not like jockeying back and forth inside the Saber all over the place, right? Or trying to cram themselves into that bend space where they shouldn't go. It just makes a lot more sense to me to build this in this fashion and allow for a slightly smaller inner diameter to allow that pass through for electronic wiring elements, etc. But this is what the final design on these bends is going to look like, and I'm pretty pleased. It doesn't even look like this has a bend to it when it's at that angle, but it is a 15-degree bend, 33 millimeter outer diameter with the 29 millimeter 29 millimeter threading, female threads. Haven't quite got a price out on it yet, but I'm looking at somewhere in the 25 to 30 part range, $25 to $30 range, probably. And that's just estimating. I can't speak firmly on that price range, but that all depends on whether or not I can get the funding together to get them started. So that's going to be the challenge for the future of this one. So we covered a lot of stuff tonight. It's been a long time coming. The next Corvus Cast will probably be not next week, but the following week, like the 4th of July weekend. Shoot. I may have to do like an early cast, like on a Friday or something, to get people up to speed on all this other stuff. But I'll let you guys know, and I'll put a posting out in advance for the cast so you guys can come along and see it. I'll take this opportunity to just rehash what we talked about. We just covered the infinite adapter. We talked about curves. We talked about all the other adapters that are coming, and continuing onward and upward to greater and better things. We even talked about switch sections And I guess if you guys want to see what those switch sections look like, we can have that discussion right now too. I'll just put it out there in this space so you guys can see it. Let's see, alloy switches. I told you I got a bunch of switches. I might have lied. I might have got like 9. No, but it's 12. It's quite a few in here. Let me get the rest of this crap out of here really fast. And this is, so the reason why I went with this original shape. This is the original 2.1, but this is a look at that that plunger type idea. And so you can see the plunger there, and I'll try to get it centered up here on the top so that you guys can look at it really fast. The size is a little bit bigger. I ended up sizing this part up quite a bit. 1 second here. I ended up sizing the part up quite a bit. This ended up going to 5 millimeters, I believe, and this original shape was like 4. Let me check it really fast. Oh, that is not the right diameter. Oh, you know what? I'm dumb. I got a cool tool that I didn't get an opportunity to show you guys. I picked up a video editing mouse, basically, that's usable for video editing. It's got a wheel on it that allows me to do zoom and all kinds of fun stuff with my left hand, while my right hand does the panning for all of these things. It also has like 6 or 7 switches on it, which I thought was really cool. And I can hit it and bind a bunch of keys to it and do all kinds of fun stuff too. But anyways, this is conceptually where I'm going with this, right? And essentially this is replacing the external AV switch that you would see protruding through the body in favor of a plunger that will touch the switch mechanism when it is screwed in with the elevator screw from the back. And so it would still be usable with VHC, like conventional VHC body, or excuse me, conventional VHC core elements, like core chassis, and also use one of my own core designs that I'm working on too. I'm not going to show that yet. I think you guys, if you're in the Discord, you might have seen some of it or had some discussions on it. But basically, this plunger here is going to touch the button head, and it's the same diameter there as that button head that you normally see in an AV switch, so that when the elevator screw at the backside is connected to it, it will touch against it. And so each of these designs on the left-hand side are going to be redesigned. And then there's also this other one that's that I've been playing with, which is a really, really tight, small, like a really, really tight, small, like male version. And this actually works really, really cool, really, really well with my current alloy designs, because all of my alloy designs are female. And so it eliminates the need for an adapter to go between the switch section and the other female body part, or other female body segment, and you can just go direct. And it allows you also to put on accent rings, and so the distance from here to here, you can put a full size accent ring, the long side on here, and make a really cool switch section that is unique to all the other switch sections as well. So anyways, just a glimpse at the future ideas that are coming. I have not yet explored all of these pricing wise or exactly what it's going to take to get to this point yet. But I have a pretty good idea on how to get there. That is the show. That's the gist of it. I think I'm done for the night. I got to take care of my kids and get them in the shower and do all kinds of stuff because we're going on vacation tomorrow. I meant to say that also during the cast. If you're stalking me, please don't. But I'm going to be out of town. The shop's going to be closed up for the weekend. We're going on a baseball tournament outside of the area. So going to go have some fun, go maybe do some swimming or something for our first summer vacation that's not really far away from everywhere we're trying to be. But that's it. That's the show. If you're still here, thank you for hanging in there and listening to me in my low energy state. I've been really, really tired lately and trying to shake that with lightsaber stuff. And so if you haven't joined the Discord, you should join the Discord. There's a link in this chat right here, and I'll try and get a link in the comments so that you can come join if you decide to join. That's the best way to get in touch with me. Shoot me a message. You can also send me a message on Facebook or whatever. But basically, that's the gist. That's it. The show's over. It's time to go. I'm out of here. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for your attendance. And as always, keep it classy. Go, 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 go. Peace. I'm out.